In high school, Robert Wilson was always the center of attention. Rich parents, expensive clothes, the newest phone, he had everything anyone could want. He was popular, confident, and never missed a chance to make fun of those who didn't match his level. One of his favorite targets was Lillian Brooks. Lillian came from a poor family. Her mother worked at a supermarket, and her father took on small construction jobs. She couldn't afford stylish clothes or the latest gadgets, so she often came to school wearing old, worn-out outfits and carried an outdated flip phone that had long gone out of fashion. To Robert, that made her the perfect target for his jokes. "Look, she's still carrying that brick of a phone," he would laugh loudly, making sure others heard. "Lillian, maybe you should start begging for spare change outside the school. Who knows, maybe you'll save up for some real clothes," he mocked in the hallway, making his friends burst into laughter. Lillian stayed silent. She never fought back, she simply lowered her head and walked away. But deep inside, she remembered every word. And while Robert thought she would always stay poor and invisible, fate had a big surprise in store for him. 9 years had passed. Robert was no longer the rich, arrogant kid who thought he ruled the world. After high school, he went to college but failed his studies. His parents, tired of funding his laziness and constant partying, cut him off financially. Without a degree and without connections, Robert tried to find work, but his high expectations made him turn down basic jobs. "I'm not going to be some cashier," he scoffed. But soon, he had no choice. He worked temporary jobs, moving furniture, delivering food, waiting tables. His paycheck barely covered rent and food. The friends who used to laugh with him about losers disappeared. And then he realized the harsh truth: without his rich parents, he was nobody. One evening, while scrolling through job listings, he found an ad: a large company is looking for an office assistant. High salary, no experience required. Robert felt a spark of hope. This was his chance to get out of poverty. He immediately sent his resume and, to his surprise, received an invitation for an interview. When he saw the company's address, his heart started beating faster. The office was in a high-end corporate district, surrounded by skyscrapers. This must be a big company, he thought, having no idea who would be waiting for him inside. Robert stood in front of a massive glass skyscraper in the heart of the city. The building looked impressive: modern offices, employees in expensive suits, a luxurious lobby with marble floors. "Wow, this is a serious company," he mumbled, feeling a bit nervous. But the thought of a stable salary and a fresh start made him take a deep breath and walk inside. At the front desk, a polite receptionist greeted him. "Robert Wilson? Here for the interview?" "Yes, that's right," he said, trying to sound confident. "Please proceed to the executive office. The company director will meet you shortly." Robert headed down the hallway, his heart pounding harder with every step. "If I get this job, my life will completely change," he thought. But when he opened the office door and saw who was sitting behind the director's desk, his face went pale. Sitting in front of him was Lillian Brooks, the same quiet girl he had mocked in high school. But now, she wasn't the poor girl in worn-out clothes. Lillian was dressed in a sharp business suit, her long hair neatly styled, a laptop and business documents on the desk in front of her. She lifted her eyes and calmly looked at Robert. "Hello, Mr. Wilson," she said in a cool, professional tone. "Please, have a seat." Robert felt panic rising inside him. He had just walked into a job interview with the very girl he once humiliated. And now, she would decide his fate. Robert sat down slowly, his hands sweating. Memories flashed through his mind, how he had mocked Lillian for wearing old clothes. How he had laughed at her cheap phone in front of the whole class. How he had been so sure she would never succeed. And now, she sat right in front of him, successful and confident. Meanwhile, he was the one begging for a job. Lillian picked up his resume and scanned it without emotion. "So, Mr. Wilson, let's begin," she said. Her voice was calm but firm. Robert swallowed hard. Of course, she slowly looked through his qualifications before raising an eyebrow. "You listed office experience, but from what I see, your past jobs were mostly waiting tables and lifting boxes. That's not exactly what we're looking for." Robert felt his face burn with embarrassment. "Well, you know, work is work," he said awkwardly, forcing a smile. But Lillian didn't smile back. "Interesting, Mr. Wilson," she said, folding her hands on the desk. "Did you ever stop to think that success in life isn't about money or fancy clothes?" Robert froze. Back in school, some people thought they were better than others just because they had more money, she continued, looking him straight in the eyes. "But time has a way of setting things right, doesn't it?" Robert realized she remembered everything. His past had caught up with him. "Lillian," he hesitated, unsure of what to say. But before he could think of an excuse, she snapped his resume shut. "I'll consider your application, Mr. Wilson. Expect a call." Her voice was cold and professional. Robert stood up, his legs shaking. "Thank you," but as he walked out of her office, he already knew the truth. She had made up her mind. Robert walked out of the office, his heart pounding. He already knew Lillian wasn't going to hire him. And honestly, he deserved it. For the next few days, he couldn't stop thinking about his past. The things he had said to her, the way he had treated people just because they were poor, it all haunted him now. He sat in his tiny apartment, staring at his old phone, thinking, if only I could go back and change everything. But there was no going back. A week later, Robert had no hope left when his phone suddenly rang. Unknown number. He hesitated before picking up. "Hello?" "Mr. Wilson, this is Lillian Brooks," came the calm voice on the other end. Robert sat up straight, gripping the phone. "I reviewed your resume, and despite your lack of qualifications, I'm willing to give you a chance," she continued. Robert couldn't believe it. "Wait, you're hiring me?" "Yes. But let me be clear, this is not a favor. You will work hard. You will start from the bottom. And you will learn what it means to earn success." She paused. "I'm giving you this opportunity not because you deserve it, but because I know what it feels like to have no one believe in you." Robert closed his eyes, gripping the phone tighter. "Thank you, Lillian. I won't let you down." "Don't thank me." "Prove it," she said. And the call ended. Robert sat in silence, letting the weight of the moment sink in. She forgave him. But now, he had to prove he had changed. The next day, Robert arrived at work early, dressed in his best clothes. He was no longer the arrogant rich kid from high school. Now, he was just another employee, starting from the bottom. The work was tougher than he expected. He had to organize files, assist different teams, and learn everything from scratch. But the hardest part? Feeling Lillian's presence in the office. She never treated him badly, but she also never showed him special treatment. She was professional, fair, and focused on her work, the complete opposite of the girl he used to mock. And him? He just wanted to prove that he had changed. 3 months later, Robert worked harder than anyone else. He arrived early, stayed late, and asked for advice when needed. One evening, after everyone had left, he was still at his desk when Lillian walked by. She stopped and looked at him. "You surprised me, Robert," she said. He looked up. "I thought you would quit after a week," she continued. "But you stayed. And you actually worked for it." Robert sighed and smiled slightly. "I used to think money was everything. But now I know the truth, it's not about what you have. It's about who you are." Lillian nodded. "It's a shame it took you this long to figure it out." She turned to leave but paused. "You're not the same person you were in high school," she said before walking away. Robert felt something lift off his chest. He had finally redeemed himself. The lesson: never judge someone based on their financial situation. Life can change in an instant. True success isn't about money, it's about the person you become. Your past mistakes don't define you, what you do to fix them does.